I have been in a reading slump all year. I could count the number of books I've read on two hands, because I'm not reading, I'm writing. I'm not reading, I'm scrolling. I'm not reading, I'm watching the telly. I have fallen headfirst out of a reading routine, but it's that time of year that I'm thinking about what I want to read next year, and I know it's time to get out of the reading slump. I started reading The Second Chance convenience store back in September, but an unexpected trip back to my hometown meant I put it down, and I didn't pick it back up until I was at the airport, waiting for my flight and a one-day layover in Sydney. I always bring my e-reader on flights, packed with library books and the best of intentions to read the whole journey, and yet I spend the entire time staring out the window. When I landed, I caught the train from the airport into the city, where one of my dearest friends, Catherine, obliged in taking me to get gluten-free pastries and see one of Australia's biggest bookshops, where I saw many, many books I'm very excited to borrow from the library. She then took me around to see the sights. We went to the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, which I hadn't seen since I was 13. And of course, we took a quick trip to the QVB to get macarons. Then it was time to head back to the hotel and get ready for an early flight. One of my favorite places to read is the back row of a very big plane when I can't see anything out my window other than the giant wing. This time, I was very lucky and had some of Australia's best chocolate whilst I read. The Second Chance convenience store is a cozy healing fiction translated from Korean. It follows a homeless man called Dokko who is employed at a convenience store, but he has no memory of his previous life. Like many books in this genre, it follows a series of characters as they interact with the convenience store and Dokko in a series of interconnected short stories. This one really hooked me at the beginning. I found the owner of the store to be very compelling, and I was a little sad when we shifted POV in the next story. But I'm intrigued enough by Dokko and his memory loss to continue on. Now for a short breakfast break. This is the gluten-friendly meal. We had scrambled eggs, wilted spinach, mushrooms and potatoes, a Greek yogurt, a fruit salad, some margarine, I think, a little bottle of soy milk, a gluten-free bread roll, and a little water bottle. It wasn't bad for airplane food. Now that spring has brought warmer weather to the southern hemisphere, I enjoy sitting out in the garden reading in the sun. I picked the Second Chance convenience store back up, but in my absence, the weeds had overcome the garden. As much as I wanted to read, I couldn't ignore them. But whilst I ridded the garden of the weeds, it was the perfect time to listen to an audiobook.
I remember the first time I dug roots. I came looking for raw materials, for something I could transform into a basket. But it was me who was transformed. The crisscross patterns, the interweaving of colors. The basket was already in the ground, stronger and more beautiful than any I could make.
Braiding Sweetgrass is a wonderful non-fiction book about Indigenous knowledge and nature. It's read by the author, and I thoroughly recommend the audiobook. It's so calming and peaceful, even though oftentimes the subject nature can be very, very sad. It's my favorite thing to listen to when I'm in the garden.
Epilogue. Returning the gift.
I haven't played Animal Crossing in such a long time, but I heard there is an update coming in January to celebrate the release of the Switch 2 edition, so I thought I would check up on my island. I never got super into Animal Crossing. I wanted to, but I'm more of a Zelda player, so I was always distracted by Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, so my island is not awe-inspiring. Just like my character's hair. And having not been on Animal Crossing for a while, I had to tend to weeds. Many, many weeds. I have a bit of a routine when I go on Animal Crossing. I pull out weeds, harvest fruit, check my garden, buy random things from the shop, say hello to my friends, pick up shells, avoid fishing, and always wake up my best friend. I think one of the key aspects of getting out of a reading slump is re-establishing reading routines, which for me might mean swapping some of my writing time during my lunch break for reading time. I really enjoyed the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett so far, but I have had this third book on my TBR for an embarrassingly long amount of time. I wasn't sure whether or not to pick this one up to help me out of a reading slump, as I found the previous 2 installments to be quite difficult to get into, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. One of the things I struggle the most with when I'm out of a reading routine and my life is going 100 k's an hour is finding the emotional bandwidth to care for fictional characters. I know that sounds strange, but I really do get invested in these made-up stories. Sometimes a self-care evening with leave-in conditioner and a refreshing facial mask is what I need to relax enough to slip into another world. And that's what I've been doing some of the past evenings. as I've been reading Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. Many of you know I submitted my PhD this year. It was a fun but mentally draining endeavour, and I do think my inability to mentally unwind was caused in part by this. Perhaps it's a bad thing, but the academic style of Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales did make it a little easier to slip back into reading. I suppose Braiding Sweetgrass was similar in some respects. Perhaps the best way to ease yourself back into reading is to conquer what took you out. I did enjoy this final book in the Emily Wilde series, and I can definitely see myself rereading this series again. I find cozy slice-of-life healing fiction, often translated from Japanese or Korean, to be very easy to read. So, when I'm feeling exhausted, they're the books I gravitate to most. And I've really enjoyed reading The Second Chance Convenience Store. I think it's going to take me a while to get back to being the voracious reader I've been in previous years. But I'm really proud of myself for getting through these books and getting back into reading again. I've really found that old enjoyment I've always found in reading. So whilst I might be a very slow reader now, I'm happy that I'm reading again. And I am very excited about all of the books I have yet to begin.